now. We're live. Okay. Kazim, Bismillah, you're live now, bro.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
We're live.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Brothers, sisters, assalamu alaikum. First of all, thank you very much for your patience as we worked through the technical difficulties. I hope everybody can hear us live. Brothers, this afternoon we have all gathered here for the Esal-e-Sawab Majlis in memory of Marhum Asgharali Hirji, Marhum Laila Bai Hirji, Marhum Yusuf Ali Walji, and Marhum Roshan Banu Walji. I would like to take this opportunity to thank each and every one of you for taking the time to join us this afternoon here in Canada, and for those of you on the other side of the pond this evening. I would also like to wish you all a very hearty Ramadan Mubarak, and I trust that this month will bring its glories and the Almighty will shower His blessings upon all of us. This afternoon we're going to begin with the recitation of Hadith Kisa, followed by Surah Yaseen, and then we will move into our Majlis, followed by Marsiya and Ziyarah. And it is with great pleasure that I've been given the opportunity to commence this afternoon's Majlis with the recitation of Hadith Kisa. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. And Jabir ibn Abdullah al-Ansari has narrated through Bibi Fatima. Fatima Zahra, the daughter of the Prophet, peace be upon them, is to have said, my father, the Prophet of Allah, came to my house one day and said to me, peace be upon you, O Fatima. I replied, and upon you, peace be upon you. He then said, I feel weakness in my body. I said, Allah protects you from weakness, O father. He said, Fatima, please bring the Yemeni cloak and cover me with it. So I brought the Yemeni cloak and covered him with it, and then I looked at him and saw that his face was shining like a full moon with its glory and splendor. After a while, my son Hasan came in and said, peace be upon you, O mother. I replied, and upon you, peace be upon you, O light of my eyes and the delight of my heart. He then said, mother, I smell a fragrance so sweet and so pure as that of my grandfather, the Prophet of Allah. I replied, yes, your grandfather is lying underneath the cloak. Hasan went nearby the cloak and said, peace be upon you, my grandfather, O the Prophet of Allah. May I enter the cloak with you? The Prophet responded, and upon you, peace, my son and the master of my fountain, Al-Kawthar. You are given the permission to enter. So Hasan entered the cloak with him. After a while, my son Hussein came in and said, peace be upon you, O mother. I replied, and upon you, peace, O light of my eyes and the delight of my heart. He then said, mother, I smelled the sweet fragrance like that of my grandfather, the Prophet of Allah. I replied, yes, your grandfather and your brother are lying under the cloak. Hussein stepped towards the cloak and said, peace be upon you, my grandfather, the chosen one of Allah. May I enter the cloak with you? He replied, and upon you, peace, my son and the intercessor of my followers. You are given the permission to enter. So Hussein entered the cloak with them. After a while, Abul Hasan Ali bin Abi Talib came in and said, peace be upon you, O daughter of the Prophet. I replied, and upon you, peace, O father of Hasan and the commander of the faithful. He then said, Fatima, I smell a sweet fragrance like that of my brother, my cousin, the Prophet of Allah. I replied, yes, he is under the cloak with your two sons. So Ali went near the cloak and said, "Peace be upon you, O Prophet of Allah. May I enter this cloak with you?" He responded, "And upon you peace, my brother, my successor and my standard bearer. You are given permission to enter." So Ali entered the cloak with them. Then I stepped forward and said, "Peace be upon you, my father, O Prophet of Allah. May I enter the cloak with you?" He replied, "And upon you peace, my daughter, O part myself, you are given permission to enter." So I entered the cloak with them. Getting together underneath the cloak, my father, the Prophet of Allah, held two ends of the cloak, and raised his right hand towards the heavens and prayed, "Allahumma inna ha'ula'i ahlu bayti wa khassati wa hammati, lahmuhum lahmi wa damuhum dam'i. يؤلمني ما يؤلمهم ويحزنني ما يحزنهم. أنا حرب لمن حاربهم وسلم لمن سالمهم وعدو لمن آداهم ومحب لمن أحبهم. إنهم مني وأنا منهم. فاجعل صلواتك وبركاتك ورحمتك وغفرانك ورضوانك علي وعليهم وأذهب عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا." Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. "O Allah, these are the people of my household, the Ahlul Bayt. They are my confidants and my supporters. Their flesh is my flesh, and their blood is my blood. Whoever hurts them hurts me too. Whoever displeases them displeases me too. I am at war with those who are at war with them. I am at peace with those who are at peace with them. I am the enemy of their enemies, and I am the friend of their friends. They are from me, and I am from them. O Allah, bestow your blessings, your benevolence, your forgiveness, and your pleasure upon me and upon them, and remove impurity from them, and keep them thoroughly pure." The Lord, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, said, "O my angels, O residents of my heavens, verily I have not created the erected sky, the stretched earth, the illuminated moon, the bright sun, the rotating planets, the flowering seas, and the sailing ships, but for the love of these five lying under the cloak." Jibreel, the trusted angel, asked, "Who are under the cloak?" The Almighty answered, "They are the household of the Prophet, the assets of prophethood. They are Fatima, his daughter, her husband, and her two sons." Jibreel said, "O Lord, may I fly to earth and be the sixth of them." Allah responded and gave his approval, "You are given permission." Jibreel, the trusted, landed near them and said, "Peace be upon you, the Prophet of Allah. The All-High conveys his peace on you and his greetings and says, 'Be my honor and glory, O my angels, O residents of my heavens. Verily I have not created the erected sky and stretched the earth, the illuminated moon, the bright sun, the rotating planets, the flowering seas, and the sailing ships, but for your sake and love. God has given me permission to enter the cloak with you. May I join you, O Prophet?" The Prophet responded and said, "And peace be upon you, O trusted bearer of Allah's revelations. You are granted permission." So Jibreel entered the cloak with them and said to the Prophet, "Allah sends his revelations to you. Verily Allah's desire is to remove blemish from you, O people of the Ahlul Bayt, and purify you with perfect purification." Then Ali said to my father, "O Prophet of Allah, tell me what significance Allah has given for getting together under this cloak." The Prophet replied, "By him who rightfully appointed me a prophet and chose me a messenger for the salvation of mankind. Whenever and wherever an assembly of our followers and friends mentions this event, Allah will bestow on them his blessings and mercy. Angels will encircle them, asking Allah the remission of their sins until the assembly disperses." So Ali said, "Verily by the Lord of the Kaaba, we are the followers, and we are our followers and the winners. Then my father replied, by him who rightfully appointed me the prophet and chose me as the messenger for the salvation of mankind. Whenever and wherever an assembly of our followers and friends mentions this event, there shall remain none grieved, but Allah will remove his grief. There shall remain none distressed, but Allah will dispel his distress. There shall remain none wish seekers, but Allah will grant their wishes. Ali happily said, verily by the Lord of the Kaaba, we and our followers are the winners and the blessed in this world and in the next. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. And with that, we pray to the Lord to bless us with this by reciting Hadith Kisa today, that we remain ungrieved and those who are with us today remain ungrieved, and that he dispels any distress that is upon any one of us today, and that he grants all of our wishes and our hajat. I will now proceed with the recitation of Surah Yaseen, and you will find on your screens, inshallah, the translation of Surah Yaseen as well. So just bear with me for one moment as I share the screen. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ياسين والقرآن الحكيم إنك لمن المرسلين على صراط مستقيم. تنزيل العزيز الرحيم لتنذر قوما ما أنذر آباؤهم فهم غافلون. لقد حق القول على أكثرهم فهم لا يؤمنون. إنا جعلنا في أعناقهم أغلالا فهي إلى الأذقان فهم مقمحون. وجعلنا من بين أيديهم سدا ومن خلفهم سدا فأغشيناهم فهم لا يبصرون. وسواء عليهم أنذرتهم أم لم تنذرهم لا يؤمنون. إنما تنذر من اتبع الذكر وخشي الرحمن بالغيب فبشره بمغفرة وأجر كريم. إنا نحن نحيي الموتى ونكتب ما قدموا وآثارهم وكل شيء أحصيناه في إمام مبين. واضرب لهم مثلا أصحاب القرية إذ جاءها المرسلون إذ أرسلنا إليهم اثنين فكذبوهما فعززنا بثالث فقالوا إنا إليكم مرسلون. قالوا ما أنتم إلا بشر مثلنا وما أنزل الرحمن من شيء إن أنتم إلا تكذبون. قالوا ربنا يعلم إنا إليكم لمرسلون وما علينا إلا البلاغ المبين. قالوا إنا تطيرنا بكم لئن لم تنتهوا لنرجمنكم وليمسنكم منا عذاب أليم. قالوا طائركم معكم أئن ذكرتم بل أنتم قوم مسرفون. وجاء من أقصى المدينة رجل يسعى قال يا قوم اتبعوا المرسلين اتبعوا من لا يسألكم أجرا وهم مهتدون. وما لي لا أعبد الذي فطرني وإليه ترجعون. وأتخذ من دونه آلهة إن يردني الرحمن بضر لا تغني عني شفاعتهم شيئا ولا ينقذون. إني إذا لفي ضلال مبين. إني آمنت بربكم فاسمعون. قيل ادخل الجنة قال يا ليت قومي يعلمون بما غفر لي ربي وجعلني من المكرمين. وما أنزلنا على قومه من بعده من جند من السماء وما كنا منزلين. إن كانت إلا صيحة واحدة فإذا هم خامدون. يا حسرة على العباد ما يأتيهم من رسول إلا كانوا به يستهزئون ألم يروا كما أهلكنا قبلهم من القرون أنهم إليهم لا يرجعون وإن كل لما جميع لدينا محضرون وآية لهم الأرض الميتة أحييناها وأخرجنا منها حبا فمنه يأكلون وجعلنا فيها جنات من نخيل وأناب وفجرنا فيها من العيون ليأكلوا من ثمره وما عملته أيديهم أفلا يشكرون سبحان الذي خلق الأزواج كلها مما تنبت الأرض ومن أنفسهم ومما لا يعلمون وآية لهم الليل نسلخ منه النهار فإذا هم مظلمون والشمس تجري لمستقر لها ذلك تقدير العزيز العليم والقمر قدرناه منازل حتى عاد كالأرجون القديم لا الشمس ينبغي لها أن تدرك القمر ولا الليل سابق النهار وكل في فلك يسبحون وآية لهم أنا حملنا ذريتهم في الفلك المشحون وخلقنا لهم من مثله ما يركبون وإن نشاء نغرقهم فلا شريك لهم ولا هم ينقذون إلا رحمة منا ومتاعا إلى حين وإذا قيل لهم اتقوا ما بين أيديكم وما خلفكم لعلكم ترحمون وما تأتيهم من آية من آيات ربهم إلا كانوا عنها معرضين وإذا قيل لهم أنفقوا مما رزقكم الله قال الذين كفروا للذين آمنوا أنتم من لو يشاء الله أتمه إن أنتم إلا في ضلال مبين ويقولون متى هذا الوعد إن كنتم صادقين ما ينظرون إلا صيحة واحدة تأخذهم وهم يخصمون فلا يستطيعون توصية ولا إلى أهلهم يرجعون ونفخ في السور فإذا هم من الأجداث إلى ربهم ينسلون قالوا يا ويلنا من بعثنا من مرقدنا هذا ما وعد الرحمن وصدق المرسلون إن كانت إلا صيحة واحدة فإذا هم جميع لدينا محضرون فاليوم لا تظلم نفس شيئا ولا تجزون إلا ما كنتم تعملون إنا أصحاب الجنة اليوم في شغل فاكهون هم وأزواجهم في ظلال على الأرائك متكئون لهم فيها فاكهة ولهم ما يدعون سلام قولا من رب رحيم وامتازوا اليوم أيها المجرمون ألم أعهد إليكم يا بني آدم ألا تعبدوا الشيطان إنه لكم عدو مبين وأن اعبدوني هذا صراط مستقيم ولقد ضل منكم جبلا كثيرا أفلم تكونوا تأكلون هذه جهنم التي كنتم توعدون أصلوها اليوم بما كنتم تكفرون اليوم نختم على أفواههم وتكلمنا أيديهم وتشهد أرجلهم بما كانوا يكسبون ولو نشاء لتمسنا على أعينهم فاستبقوا الصراط فأنى يبصرون ولو نشاء لمسخناهم على مكانتهم فما استطاعوا مضيا ولا يرجعون ومن نؤمره نكس في الخلق أفلا يأكلون وما علمناه الشر وما ينبغي له إن هو إلا ذكر وقرآن مبين لينذر من كان حيا ويحق القول على الكافرين أولم يروا أنا خلقنا لهم مما عملت أيدينا أنعاما فهم لها مالكون وذللناها لهم فمنها ركوبهم ومنها يأكلون ولهم فيها منافع ومشارب أفلا يشكرون واتخذوا من دون الله آلهة لهم ينصرون لا يستطيعون نصرهم وهم لهم جند محضرون فلا يحزنك قولهم إنا نعلم ما يسرون وما يعلنون أولم يروا إنسان أنا خلقناه من نطفة فإذا هو خصيم مبين وضرب لنا مثلا ونسي خلقه قال من يحيي العظام وهي رميم قل يحييها الذي أنشاها أول مرة وهو بكل خلق عليم الذي جعل لكم من الشجر الأخضر نارا فإذا أنتم منه توقدون أوليس الذي خلق السماوات والأرض بقادر على أن يخلقهم بلى وهو الخلاق العليم إنما أمره إذا أراد شيئا أن يقول له كن فيكون فسبحان الذي بيده ملكوت كل شيء وإليه ترجعون صدق الله العلي العظيم صلوات اللهم صل على محمد وعلى محمد. Before we move on to the Majlis program, I would like to request that we all gift a Surah Fatiha for the following marhumeen. The marhumeen for whom this Majlis has been arranged, that being marhum Asgharali Hirji, marhuma Laila by Hirji, marhum Yusuf Ali Walji, and marhuma Roshan Banu Walji, as well as marhuma Nasim by Hirji, marhum Muhammad Ghulam Ali Jetta, marhum Murtaza Mauji, marhumeen of all of those who are in attendance today, as well as kul marhumeen, Surah Al-Mubarakat Al-Fatiha. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Qul huwallahu ahad, Allahu samad, lam yalid wa lam yakul lahu kufuwan ahad. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Qul huwallahu ahad, Allahu samad, lam yalid wa lam yakul lahu kufuwan ahad. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Qul huwallahu samad, lam yalid wa lam yakul lahu kufuwan ahad. And before we continue on to the Majalis for today, I would also request that we recite 5 times Dua Shifa for all those who are in need of our duas. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Before we أما يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء 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 أما يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء. May the Almighty give all of the people who are in need of our duas the shifa. I would now like to call upon Zakir Ahlul Bayt, Hasan, Moosa, Reza to carry on with Majalis. Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad, salawat.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. May I begin by thanking you, Kazim, and your family for giving us the honor today to be here to recite the Majalis on these days of the Shahadat of Mir al-Mu'mineen in honor of your grandparents. And we also would like to request that all of those gathered recite the Surah Fatiha for Asgharali Hirji, Laila Hirji, Roshan Banu Walji, Yusuf Ali Walji, Nasim Hirji, Murtaza Mauji, and again all the marhumeen, and if I may humbly add my grandfather Ghulam Ali Reza into that list. Al-Fatiha. Bismillah. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الذي هدانا لهذا وما كنا لنهتدي لولا أن هدانا الله والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين مولانا أبو القاسم محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المظلومين ولعنة الله على أعضائهم أجمعين. صلى الله عليك يا سيدي يا مولاي يا أمير المؤمنين صلى الله عليك يا إمامي يا علي بن أبي طالب يا صفوة الله يا سيف الله يا رحمة الله الواسعة ويا باب نجاة الأمة يا شهيد كوفة قال الله عز وجل في كتابه المجيد بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إنما وليكم الله ورسوله والذين آمنوا والذين يقيمون الصلاة ويؤتون الزكاة وهم راكعون Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajil farajahum. My dear brothers and sisters, elders and learned scholars, may I begin by offering my condolences to you all and on your behalf to the Imam of our time, Imam Sahib al-Amri al-Zaman, on the istishhad, the shahadat of his grandfather, Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam. May I also apologize and ask for your forgiveness for the difficulties we faced in the start of the Majlis. I know that the timings were crucial today and we are very sorry that things were delayed. Unfortunately, in these difficult times we find ourselves in, we are having to work with technology that maybe we weren't necessarily familiar with before this difficult period struck us. And it's truly humbling and reminding one of the power of Allah that with a click of a finger almost our lives have grown to a halt, especially here in the UK, and we've had to completely reassess how we approach things because of the corona situation. It's especially strange for those of us who are blessed to be able to recite the Marsiya, the Noha, the Masa'ib and Majalis and of the Ahlul Bayt alayhim as-salam, and the Quran, the Hadith and the du'as of the Ahlul Bayt and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that for years and years where these things have taken place face to face with our blessed brothers and sisters, now we do it facing a computer screen. So truly these are difficult and strange times for us all. This Majlis has been arranged for the blessed parents of my uncle Rizwan Walji and Auntie Fatima Walji, whose parents Asgharali Hirji and Umme Laila returned to Asghar uncle on the first of Ramadan and Umme Laila on the last day of the month of Ramadan. And as such, they have chosen this period of Laylatul Qadr, this period of the Shahadat of Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam, to hold a blessed Majlis for the Esal-e-Sawab of their marhumin. And know this, that by establishing a Majlis in honor of this figure and in honor of your parents, especially in these times when it's so difficult, when one could be forgiven for saying, okay, we can't do it this year, we'll do it next year, or we do a small gathering in our own house. No, you've gone to the steps of organizing that those in Canada, those in the United Kingdom, and those anywhere else in the world who we are blessed are joining us, are able to partake in a majlis in honor of the soul of your marhumin. Holding that majalis is a great blessing and a great thawab for your marhumin. And it's a great testament to the tarbiyat, to the knowledge, to the upbringing that they have given to their children and grandchildren, that regardless of the difficulties we find ourselves in, the majalis of Muhammad wa ali Muhammad alayhim as-salam come first. And whatever difficulty we may have, we establish the majalis of Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. There is hadith and there are narrations and advices as well that the holding of these majalis, especially in the households, is of a great importance. Why? Because where we have the famous narration and prophecy of Rasulullah that we will have a nation that will remember your son Abu Abdullah in days and nights, in happiness and sadness around the world, by having these majalis in their houses, this is how this is achieved. There isn't possibility to have a center everywhere. And you know, today we see more than ever why these house majalis are important. You speak to some of the alims and some of the zakirs, they travel to far-flung areas of Africa, they travel to East Europe, they travel to far Asia, they travel to places you wouldn't even imagine, small villages where you find 10, 20 mu'mineen who want to hold a majlis for Abu Abdullah, who want to hold a majlis for his father, Amir al-Mu'mineen. And that's how this message spreads. Around the world, on days and nights like these, the mu'mineen gather in their houses and they remember that great man, Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam. The world echoes once again, Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, Ya Haidar al-Qarrar, for this truly was a magnanimous character. That was Ali ibn Abi Talib. He is that person that 1400 years ago when Ibn Muljam la'anatullah struck him in Masjid al-Kufa, it wasn't just us who wept. The heavens wept for Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhim salam. The earth trembled for Amir al-Mu'mineen. They say the winds in the city of Kufa were behaving in a strange manner. The whole universe went into a state of mourning on the shahadat of this great figure. And know this, that in early Islam, the remembrance of Imam Ali alayhi salam was met with brutality and genocide. Holding a majlis in honor of Imam Ali, be it in honor of his wiladat or in honor of his shahadat, was impossible. Or at the very least came with the very likely possibility of death. Even today in parts of Iraq, parts of Afghanistan, parts of Africa, parts of Pakistan, it remains the case that mothers will send their children to these majlis not knowing if their sons will come home, not knowing if their daughters will come home, not knowing if their babies will come home. Just yesterday in Afghanistan, there was an attack in a Shia-led area on a hospital in which they say children, mothers, babies were killed. In early Islam, even uttering the name of Ali ibn Abi Talib was something that was truly difficult and truly came with the chance of one having death put upon them. When the news of the murder of Imam Ali alayhi salam reached Sham, how did the people react? That in itself shows us what state this ummah was in. Questioning, what was Ali doing in the masjid? Yani, did Ali even pray namaz? This is the level in which people had faith of Ali Muhammad at that time. So no, we are truly blessed wherever we are today that we are able to remember this great man, Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam. The life of Imam Ali stands as a beacon of light for us all to learn from. He gave many things to the world of intellect, interaction, social, culture, politics. He was the lion of the army of Allah. He spent his entire life fighting for the path of Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad, be it on the battlefields of Arabia or be it with his tongue, with his lessons, with his akhlaq that transcend time and remain integral to today. Briefly, very briefly, because I know we are behind time already tonight, I want us to remember two key events in the life of Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam that was such important events that they had a ripple effect for decades after they occurred. Of course, Imam Ali was born on the 13th of Rajab in the year 600 AD, being the only man in history or the only person in history to be born inside the Holy Kaaba. He was a man who stood for justice and peace and held firm a belief that every person has a right to live in security, comfort. He was the backbone of Islam, the flag bearer of the religion, the right hand of Rasulullah, and the door to his vast city of knowledge. When we look to the speech of Imam Hasan al-Mujtaba alayhi salam when Amir al-Mu'mineen is killed, he goes to Masjid al-Kufa and gives a speech. When we look to the speech of Imam Zainul Abidin as-Sajjad alayhi salam in the Darbar of the La'in in Sham, when we look to the speeches on the day of Ashura, both from the enemy and from the Ahl al-Bayt alayhim as-salam, continuously there is a mention of two things. From the Ahl al-Bayt, we are the son of the one who was victorious at Badr and Hunayn. We are the one who brought victory for Rasulullah and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Badr and Hunayn. And from the enemies, what? Kill him, kill them. Why? Because they are the ones who killed your grandfathers at Badr and Hunayn. Take the vengeance for your grandfathers at Badr and Hunayn. So without bearing this in mind, it would not be apparent why we would say, let's focus tonight on Badr and Hunayn. Badr still, alhamdulillah, is given some degree of reverence. However, Hunayn probably is one of the most understudied battles in the general community, not in the books or the academia, but general community. The fact that both the Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam and their enemies make reference to this battle gives us an idea of how important it was in the life and events of Amir al-Mu'mineen and the Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. 200 miles from the holy city of Mecca is a place known as Badr. When the Muslims migrated from Medina to Mecca, from Mecca to Medina, they were accused of attacking the caravans of Abu Sufyan when they passed by the city of Medina. This rumor and false accusation was used as an excuse to begin an attack and a war on Rasulullah, the Muslims, and Islam. This first battle of Islam, as I'm sure many of you are aware, took place in a place known as Badr that we just mentioned. However, what so many people may not know is that Badr is actually the name of the individual whom established the watering well at Badr. So Badr was a passing point. As caravans went, as people went through the deserts traveling, Badr was a place where there were wells with clean drinking water that people could drink from, use for whatever purpose they needed. The person who dug these wells, established these wells, provided these wells was a man known as Badr, and as such, the place became known as Badr. In the second year after Hijrah, the Muslims and Meccans met at these wells of Badr with an army of the Meccans of around 1,000 and the Muslims around 313. The Muslims arrived before the Meccans and as such were able to get a better position in the battlefield than the Meccans. However, history notes here that the Muslim army never stopped the water. The only source of water in Badr was what? The wells, and the Muslims were at the control of the wells, but the Muslims never stopped the water from reaching the Meccans. Now, something else we may not all realize, and of course it's a learning lesson for me before anybody else, is that the Battle of Badr took place on the 17th of Ramadan. Today was the day of the 19th of Ramadan. So we're talking of an event that took place 2 days ago in the Islamic calendar. And is one of the most famous battles. Wars in that time were run in a very different way. It wasn't everybody fighting everybody. It was tradition that the best of each army fought against one another. And we see this happening in Karbala as well, where the companions and the Ahl al-Bayt, the Ahl of Abu Abdullah, Ahl Hussein, one by one would go, and they would initially be met by one enemy. Eventually, because the Ahl al-Bayt, the Ahl al-Hussein, the companion, the Ashab of Abu Abdullah, and the peace of blessings be upon all of these, were of such a caliber that one man, even in their thirst, their hunger, and the effect of the heat of the day, one person was still not able to overcome the Ahl al-Bayt and the family of Abu Abdullah and the Ahsab of Abu Abdullah. But nonetheless, Badr. So Utba, Shiba, and Walid, three individuals who were thought to be as the greatest individuals of the Meccan army, along with the fourth companion, came forward and was sent as these are our best, now you send your best. The history books narrate that Rasulullah initially sent 3 of the Ansar of Medina stepping forth, along with a fourth, and were sent as the equals. The Meccans became offended by this. They said, we know the likes of Ali ibn Abi Talib is in your ranks. We know Hamza is in your ranks. We know these people, Ubayd, are there. We know what great warriors they are. Send us our equals. And the history books narrate, and I'm sure a lot of you also would have seen the film The Message, that Hamza alayhi salam, Imam Ali alayhi salam, and the others came and they annihilated the Meccans. Imam Ali coming to the defense of many. Shaykh al-Mufid narrates in his Kitab al-Irshad, one of the best books we can take for a short biography, and it's available online. It's also available in English from Amazon and other booksellers. A great source for concise, short chapters on each of the Imams alayhi salam. It says, Shaykh Mufid says in Kitab al-Irshad, that of the 72 Meccans that were killed on the day of Badr, Ali ibn Abi Talib killed or sent 36 of them back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yani Imam Ali single-handedly was responsible for half of that total. And this included many of those whose grandfathers were then present in Karbala. This is Badr, and we're going to keep it short, I know, because time is against us. Hunayn. What happened in Hunayn that made it such a significant event? Hunayn was very different to Badr. It was almost the opposite in many ways. In Hunayn, there were many Muslims. A lot of them had joined after the event, the conquer of Mecca. So after Rasulullah had gone back to Mecca and completed the treaty, the Hajj, of course he remained living in Medina, but then they were able to travel to Mecca freely. Initially they were not able to. After this period, they were able to travel to and from Mecca as they wished. After this happened, there was obviously a great number of Meccans who, to save their lives, converted to Islam, and also those who may not have been aware of the religion or who were not as ready in the initial stages, they converted to Islam. So there was 12,000 soldiers with Rasulullah, and many of them, as we're saying, were from the Meccan time. Approximately, some narrations I read say 10,000 had joined from Mecca and 2,000 were from Medina. So that gives you some idea of the situation that it was in. They say when one of the companions of Rasulullah's eyes befell the number of soldiers they had versus the number of soldiers on the other side, they were incredibly excited and incredibly overwhelmed at the chances they had. And they said, we shan't at all be defeated because our soldiers far outnumber those of the enemy. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, the enemy was around 5,000. However, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, of course, mentioned in the Quran, and this is again why Hunayn and as well as Badr are important, because they are directly referred to in the Quran. Allah mentions in the Quran in Surah Tawbah, Allah helped you on many occasions, including on the day of Hunayn, when you were happy with the number of your men who proved to be of no help to you, and the whole vast earth seemed to be no place for you to hide from your enemies, and you turned back in retreat. This direct reference to Hunayn again emphasizes for us what a great event it was in the life of Amir al-Mu'mineen in Islam, alayhi salam. The area of Hunayn is a different sort of makeup in its sense. It was flanked on both sides by valleys, and it had, by mountains. It had a small valley running through the middle. So you had these tall ridges and you had a valley. The Prophet had camped at the mouth of the valley on one end because he was aware that the locals of this land knew how to make use of the high ground and the low ground and take advantage. And he had told the Muslims that you follow my lead, we do not go through, we go around, because if we go through, they will be overcoming us. One of the Muslims, in his infinite wisdom, decided that we know better, and they decided to go straight through the middle of the valley of Hunayn. As this happened, they say that the army of those gathered at Hunayn fired arrows from all angles, such that they were passing just over the heads of the Muslims. The intention was not to kill, the intention was to make them afraid, the intention was to put the fear of God within their hearts, and truly this is exactly what happened. Out of nowhere, suddenly there are arrows passing everywhere, and they say the Muslims, 12,000, remember we told you, 12,000 Muslims began running for their lives, and such that there was even Muslims killed in the stampede because they were trying, other Muslims were trying to save their life and get out of there. 8 men were left. What did we say? 12,000 stood with Rasulullah, 8 were left alongside Rasulullah. Ali ibn Abi Talib, alayhi salam, Abbas ibn Abdul Muttalib, Fadl ibn Abbas, Abu Sufyan ibn Harith ibn Abdul Muttalib, Rabi'ah, the brother of this Abu Sufyan, who's not that Abu Sufyan, this is one of the sons of Abu Abdul Muttalib, alayhi salam. Abdullah ibn Masud, Osama ibn Zayd, remember that name, of course, it's the famous 18-year-old who later, when Rasulullah puts in charge of an army, again the Muslims say that, we know better, why would we follow an 18-year-old? And Rasulullah reminds them, on the day when there was 12,000, he stood while you ran. And Ayman ibn Ubayd. These 8 stood. The first 5 were Bani Hashim, the last 3 were companions, uncles, cousins of the Prophet. The Prophet asked his uncle, Abbas ibn Abdul Muttalib, to call out to the fleeing Muslims. And they say that this uncle of Rasulullah, Abbas, had an incredibly powerful voice. And he called out to them, Ya Muhajirin, Ya Ansar, O victors of Badr, and O those who were at Hudaybiyah, ya'ni those who signed the treaty of Hudaybiyah. Where are you going? This is the messenger of Allah. This is the messenger of God. Come back to him. There's an interesting side point here, if time allows, very briefly, that why mention Hudaybiyah. They say that at Hudaybiyah, this is after Uhud, and of course we know at Uhud the Muslims behaved in a very similar manner. When they saw the numbers and they believed that they had won, they began to loot the belongings of the enemies, and Rasulullah told them, no, stay where you are, don't do this, they will overcome you, they're planning something. And when, of course, the enemies came back, the Muslims were surprised by this, overcome, and the Muslims began to run. And after that, at Hudaybiyah, Rasulullah made them swear that if you wish to be in the Treaty of Hudaybiyah, and the Treaty of Hudaybiyah was a treaty between the Muslims and the Meccans. So if you wish to be considered amongst the Muslims of Hudaybiyah, yani amongst the Muslims of Rasulullah, you must never run from battle again. And Rasulullah is reminding them reminding the 11,992 who are running that you made a promise, and under that promise we are questioning everything if you are running away from us now. The hero of that battle, of course, was Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam. There is one narration, and this narration, it makes your hairs stand up. It puts a chill within you. It says, Imam Ali turned behind him and looked at the other seven. He said to them, wait one moment and watch this. Allahu Akbar. He said to them, wait one moment and watch this. And one by one, Ali ibn Abi Talib, the one who was the one that was so famous for his warriorship, who was so famous for his belief and his yaqeen in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and Rasulullah, one by one took out the commanders in such a way that the thousands that were gathered against the Muslims started to run as well because of this one individual, the son of Abu Talib alayhi salam. Know this is the same Imam Ali alayhi salam who would lower himself beyond what we can imagine in front of his Lord in prayer and Rasulullah. Imam Ali had such an amazing, beautiful and deep connection with Rasulullah. Of course, they were cousins. He was his son-in-law. They were brothers. He was his inheritor. He was his successor. But he was Rasulullah, and this was Amir al-Mu'mineen. There are so many levels, and as such, the loss Mawla Ali alayhi salam endured in his life is unimaginable to us. That love for Rasulullah went far beyond the love of a relative. The very first thing in his life that Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam saw was the face of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. He refused to open his eyes until Rasulullah was in front of him, and the very first thing he saw in this world, of course, is Rasulullah. In his own words, أَنَا الْأَوَّلُ وَأَنَا الْآخِرُ, I am the first and I am the last. In a lengthy hadith, but what's he referring to here? He says, I am the first because I am the first to see Rasulullah, and I am the last because I was the last one to see him before he died. Days after the death of Rasulullah, as Imam Ali was left almost alone to bury his brother Rasulullah, his prophet Rasulullah, his guide, his beloved Rasulullah, his wife is attacked, his son Muhsin is shaheed. This is the musibah of the life of Imam Ali alayhi salam, but the greatest losses are yet to come. When he has to carry the janazah of Bibi Fatima alayhi salam, the same way that Rasulullah would turn to Bibi Khadija for comfort alayhi salam. When there was no one, Bibi Khadija alayhi salam was there for him. When the Meccans wouldn't even respond to his salam, Bibi Khadija alayhi salam was there for him. We have hadith in the same way that when the entirety of Medina turned its back on Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam, Bibi Pak Zahra salamullahi alayha was there for him. She remained a pillar of eternal support for the Imam, and she was just as her mother was for her father. I wonder if she knew that in Karbala her daughter would be playing the same role. In Kufa and in Sham she would be playing the same role. And we see the pain of Imam Ali alayhi salam when he sits at the graveside of Rasulullah and the graveside of Bibi Zahra, and he says to Rasulullah, Ya Rasulullah, ask your daughter what these people did to her, but no, my nights will be full of pain and my days will be full of darkness now that my Zahra has been taken from me. In this state, Imam Ali spent decades. One of the most difficult things for him was the way in which the people took his rights. In the famous sermon of Shakshakiyya, what does the Imam say? That the way in which they took imamat from me, the way in which they took divine leadership from me, the way in which they took the seat that was mine from Ghadi, from Mubahila, from the ring, from all the other events, starting from Da'wat al-Dhul Ashira, was taken from me, was as if there is something pricking your eye and there is a sharp scratching in your throat. Imagine for 25 years, the Imam says, it was as if this was happening. My eye was being hurt. My throat was being hurt for 25 years, day after day, for this is how they left me. When eventually the Muslims came to the door of Ali ibn Abi Talib, he chose to take his Khilafah to Kufa. And when he reaches Kufa, we hear in narrations, and one of the Sayyids studying in Najaf recited this for us in Karbala a few years ago, that when he reached Kufa, he began to miss that daughter Zainab. The name Zainab even meaning Zinat of her father. She was the love of his life. She was her sweetheart. She was the one for whom Ali ibn Abi Talib would rush home from the graveside of Fatima when Fatima would come to him and say, Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, our daughter Zainab has awoken and is alone in the house. As such, when Imam Ali alayhi salam left Medina, he soon said, call my daughter Zainab to Kufa. You all know where I'm taking you. He said, call my daughter Zainab to Kufa. It said when the news reached Amir al-Mu'mineen that Zainab al-Kubra alayhim salam is arriving, he told the whole city, prepare the city. Thy daughter, my Shehzadi, is arriving. Prepare the city of Kufa such that it is appropriate for the arrival. They say when Bibi Zainab arrived into the city of Kufa on this occasion, in the 36th or 37th year after Hijrah, it was such that she was on top of a camel with covers all around her, such that even the sun couldn't see the shadow of Zainab al-Kubra alayhi salam. But we say, Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, when she got to your house, they say Bibi Zainab's camel rested. And Amir al-Mu'mineen called out to his daughter, come my daughter, the house is ready for you. They say the response came. Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas was called to the camel. He came back to his father. He said to his father, Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, oh my father, my sister, my Shehzadi is saying, ask Kufa to go to their homes such that not a single soul can see the hijab of Zainab al-Kubra. The year was 36. Now take yourself to the year 61. They say after Karbala, they're made to run from Karbala to Kufa. No one knows how many children, how many daughters of Hussein died between Kufa and Karbala. They're made to run towards Kufa. When they arrive at the gate of Kufa, they're told, wait 3 days. Why? Wait 3 days for what? For the preparations to be taking place. What preparations? Preparations such that the whole of Kufa knows that the enemies of Islam have arrived. The whole of Kufa is ready to mock them, throw items at them, whip them, and attack the so-called prisoners. Not even 30 years had passed when this Kufa saw the way in which Zainab al-Kubra alayhi salam had entered. And now look at the way in which this Kufa treats the daughter of Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam. They say when Bibi Zainab alayhi salam enters Kufa, there is a lady with her daughter watching. She says to her, oh lady, may I ask you to do 2 du'as for me? The lady says to Bibi Zainab, she says, may I ask you to do 2 du'as for me? Bibi Zainab says, what would you like me to pray for? She says, I ask you to pray that my daughter is never made a yatim in the way that this daughter, meaning Sakina, Bibi Sakina alayhi salam, has been made a yatim. Bibi Zainab says, oh lady, what is your second dua? The lady says, oh lady, please pray I may be able to go to Medina before I wish to meet my Shehzadi. My heart aches to meet her. Bibi Zainab asks her, what is her name? She says, oh lady, in this mahal, in this bazaar, with no mahram men listening, I can't even take the name of my Sayyidi. I can't even take the name of my Mawlati. At this moment, they say Bibi Zainab uncovers her face. She says, oh Habiba, have you not recognized I am Zainab al-Kubra? I am the daughter of Ali al-Murtada. Habiba begins to cry and scream, saying, Ya Sayyidi, what's happened? Who did this to you? We say, Bas Habiba, alone on the plains of Karbala, every daughter and granddaughter of Amir al-Mu'mineen remembered their father, Imam Ali. Imam Ali was in every one of their hearts. How difficult it must have been not to have him there. He who conquered Badr, he who conquered Hunain, he who conquered Khandaq, Khaybar, one after another. On the day of Ashura, his daughters are being whipped by Shimmer, his granddaughters' earrings are being stolen, their tents are being set on fire. But one final hadith, and we take your permission. Hamid ibn Muslim narrates, I saw a young girl with her clothes on fire. I came near her. I said to her, oh child, let me help you. She looked at me. She said, oh man, are you with us or are you against us? "Oh man, are you with us or are you against us?" He says, "I looked at her and said, I am neither with you nor am I against you. I am here to narrate what took place here." She looked at him and said, "How can you offer me water to put out the fire on my dress when my father was killed thirsty?" She said, "Oh man, have you read the Quran?" He said, "Yes." She said, "Did you read the verse, 'As for the orphans, do not hurt the orphans'?" He said, "Yes." She said, "Ana yatim al-Husayn. I am the orphan of Aba Abdullah. I am Sakina bint al-Husayn." She looked at him and said, "Have you read the ayah in which they say when someone asks you something, do not reject them and that which they ask you?" He said, "Yes." She said, "Oh man, then guide me towards the city of Najaf. They tell me I had a grandfather. He is buried there. I want to complain to him about what has happened in Karbala. I want to complain about the way they ripped open the chest of his son Hussein. I want to complain about the two arms of Abbas. I want to complain about Akbar, Qasim, Asghar. But above all else, I want to complain, in which religion do they slap the daughters of the granddaughter of the grandman of who bought the religion?" Allah, Ya Sayyidi, Ya Zainab, Inna lillah wa inna ilayhi raji'un, wa siyalamu alladhina zalamu ali Muhammadin ayyam qaladun yanqalibun. We pray to Allah, hasten the reappearance of Sahib al-Amri wa Zaman, to allow us to be under his shining light and to achieve the greatest victory of his banner, Ya la Farat al-Hussein, O justice for Hussein, for our master Imam Mahdi in nights like these, alayhi salam. Remember, he is alone. We all feel the difficulty that we can't be together to remember Imam Ali alayhi salam. We feel the difficulty that we can't be together to remember your marhumeen, but remember that in nights like these, when we are weeping, our Imam is also weeping. When we are alone, our Imam has been alone for 1200 years. For 1200 years, there's been no Shia, no companion, no one to console our Imam. We pray to Allah to hasten his reappearance. We pray for your marhumeen. We ask you to pray for us as we pray for you. And Allah, inshallah, keep us all safe.
Do you guys want me to start or wait for something in between? Moosa, shall I go straight? Shall I start? Okay, I'll start. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Muhammad wa ajil farajahum. Before I begin, I would like to take this opportunity to do dua for the marhumeen for whom this majlis has been set up for today. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant them the highest place in Jannat al-Firdaus, inshaAllah ta'ala. I request you all, wherever you are watching from, whoever is watching, recite a salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala محمد وآل محمد السلام عليك يا أمير المؤمنين وابن سيد الوصيين ورحمة الله وبركاته. نوحہ کونا ہے زینب مزتر علی کے بعد. نوحہ کونا ہے زینب مزتر علی کے بعد. کوہرام ہے مچا ہوا گھر گھر علی کے بعد. محراب غم زدہ ہے نمازی کدھر گیا. محراب غم زدہ ہے نمازی کدھر گیا. ویران ہے رسول کا منبر علی کے بعد. ویران ہے رسول کا منبر علی کے بعد. اور شہزادی بن کے آئی تھی کوفے میں کل یہی. شہزادی بن کے آئی تھی کوفے میں کل یہی. ہاں در در پھیری ہے زینب مزتر علی کے بعد. در در پھیری ہے زینب مزتر علی کے بعد. اور منظر ابھر کے آ گیا بازار شام کا. منظر ابھر کے آ گیا بازار شام کا کہ زینب کے سر سے جب گری چادر علی کے بعد. زینب کے سر سے جب گری چادر علی کے بعد. اور جو سر تھا بوسہ گاہ علی و محمدی. جو سر تھا بوسہ گاہ علی و محمدی. نیزے پہ چڑھ گیا ہے وہی سر علی کے بعد نیزے پہ چڑھ گیا ہے وہی سر علی کے بعد اور اصغر سنو نہال لہو میں نہا گیا اصغر سنو نہال لہو میں نہا گیا اجڑا ہے اس طرح سے بھرا گھر علی کے بعد اجڑا ہے اس طرح سے بھرا گھر علی کے بعد نوحہ کونا ہے زینب مزتر علی کے بعد اللہم صلی علی محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجہم. Again, if I can request all those who are watching from far and wide to please recite Surah Al-Fatiha for all the marhumin for whom this majlis was set for today. Al-Fatiha. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Maliki yawmiddin. Iyaka na'budu wa iyaka nasta'in. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
Kazim, we're just going to finish with Ziyarah. I think we're just going to finish with Ziyarah. Can I just again thank you all for joining us before we start the Ziyarah? Can I thank you all for taking part in this majlis? Every single person who was involved, and the viewers and those of you who are listening are as involved as anyone who's sitting on this side of the camera. There is no majlis without you guys being here to give us your time, and I know everyone is busy, especially and with the time difference and everything else. Thank you all very, very much. And can I personally thank Uncle and Auntie for giving me the honor to recite the majlis for their parents, for their Esal-e-Sawab, and on these blessed nights in honor of Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam. I'd ask that you recite a Fatiha for everyone who's been mentioned in the majlis, for all those who have joined the majlis, their marhumin, but especially for Uncle and Auntie Asgharali, Hirji and Laila, and we will recite Ziyarah. I am conveniently already facing Qibla, so if you want to turn yourselves towards Qibla, we will start. Assalamu alayka ya Aba Abdullah. Assalamu alayka ya Ibn Rasulullah. Assalamu alayka ya Ibn Amir al-Mu'mineen. Assalamu alayka ya Ibn Fatimah al-Zahra. Assalamu alayka ya Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas. Assalamu alaykum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuhu. Assalamu alayka ya Gharib al-Ghuraba. Assalamu alayka ya Ali ibn Moosa al-Reza. Assalamu alaykum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Assalamu alayka ya Sahib al-Amri wal-Zaman. Assalamu alayka ya Imam al-Insi wal-Jan. Assalamu alayka ya Sharik al-Quran. Al-Aman, al-Aman, al-Aman. Assalamu alaykum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Again, we thank you all very much for joining us, and we inshallah ask you to pray for every one of us and everyone who's tuned in, and especially for all the marhumin. We're going to end the stream there. Wa alaykum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.